Consideration paid for by the following. The Ohio Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, Scott M. Gray, D.C., across from the Marion Center between TSC and Kroger. For further information, dial 740-386-6580. Also located on the net at goodbackbadback.com.
You know what the greatest thing is about the exchange with Scott Spears? Well, not only do they have Scott Spears, but they got all kinds of fabulous guests, too. So tune in. The exchange. Scott Spears. Right here. Hello there, Soup here. Say, if you want to be really entertained, just tune into The Exchange, starring my good friend Scott Spears, here on this station.
Hey, Scott Spears along with you on the Thursday edition of The Exchange, joined by my longtime co-host associates here, Marianne Michaels, Charlie Evers. Going to have a lot of fun today talking about Ohio State football on one hand because a new coach is on his way, and also about security at airports. Another terrible, in my opinion, incident has happened, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in the program. Do want to mention, though, we got a great new sponsor here, a Marion-grown company, which is what we like to see, SEW Pro Wrestling, and as Charlie and I were talking about earlier on in the week, wrestling a big event at the Marion Coliseum for years and years and years, but the new company is Sports Entertainment Wrestling. Their website, www.sewprowrestling.net. Jump on Facebook and search SEW Marion, and you'll find them. They have events coming up on December 17th, January the 7th, and February the 4th. All locations will be at 675 Unkefer Avenue here in Marion in the auditorium over there. You can get your tickets by going to Norris Grocery here in Marion, and the offices of the Wrestling Association are in the Unkefer Union Hall in one of the offices over there. Remember, the show coming up on the 17th, just 2 days away, this coming Saturday, $5 ticket at the door, or you can bring 2 canned food items along with 2 boxed food items. The cash will be donated to the Boys and Girls Club of Marion, and the food will be donated to the Victory Center Food Pantry. So very nice to do that. Jump on the net, sewprowrestling.net. And, well, we'll talk about this later on in the program. Before we do that, let's go to Charlie Evers and Fascinating Facts.
You know, every time you mention Unkefer Avenue, I think of the Unkefer family. They were a pioneer family in Marion, came here in the, I think, the 1820s. But I want to talk to you something interesting. Back in 1884, when they were just building the Marion County Courthouse, over in New Straitsville, Ohio, there was, of course, a very active mine there, but the miners had a big riff with the owners and went out on strike, and they couldn't get things settled. So the miners that were on strike got together some of the mine cars and filled them with several cords of wood and lit the wood and got it burning good and shoved those cars down in the mine. Well, to this day, after all the 1884, that mine is still burning, has burned like 200 square acres of coal underground. I was there once in 1939, and I remember the guide showed us how you could fry eggs over cracks in the ground. Really interesting. But it was not only the coal strike that made New Straitsville and the fire famous, it was their production of moonshine. They became known as the moonshine capital of the United States known from coast to coast for its high-quality moonshine stored away in little caves underground. And they have a moonshine festival there every year to celebrate that fact.
You were there in 1939?
Yes, I was. Yes, I have a movie. Wow. I have a movie of that in 1939.
Now, who took the movie?
My dad.
Gee whiz.
Had one of the first movie cameras in Bucyrus, and I can still remember the smell coming through the cracks in the ground of that burning coal.
How old were you in 39?
5 years
Holy
old.
mackerel.
I
Well,
was an impressive little kid.
That's pretty good. That's 1939.
Yeah.
Marianne, words of wisdom today.
What love is the theme this week, and I'm not familiar with the author of these words. It's Marion Garrity, but this is what she says, and it's very apropos for this time of the year. It's your love your friends need, not expensive gifts or extravagant surprises. And that's true.
All about love.
All about love.
You know, hopefully very unconditional love, as we talked about yesterday. But I'll tell you, we've talked a lot on this program about Ohio State football, and you can't help but talking about it now because it looks like changes are underway for next season. At a time when college football programs are coming under fire for lionizing their coaches, Ohio State University hired Urban Meyer and agreed to pay him $4 million a year. That makes Meyer one of the highest paid college football coaches in the country. In addition to his base salary, Meyer will receive lump sums in 2014, 2016, and 2018 if he stays in the job. He can also earn 6-digit bonuses for things like winning games, making it to bowl games, and improving player graduation rates. And then there are perks: $1,200 a month to spend on cars, a golf course membership, football tickets, a fellowship in his name, and use of a private jet. Urban Meyer speaks to the media on Monday after being introduced as the new Ohio State head football coach. He will earn more than 3 times what Ohio State President E. Gordon Gee, the nation's highest paid university president, makes. On most campuses, coaches top the payroll. And despite the economy, budget cuts, and increasing tuition, coach salaries continue to climb. Earlier this month, USA Today analyzed the salary of football coaches at major schools. The average salary went from $1.4 million in 2006 to $2.1 million in 2011. That's a 52% jump. Meanwhile, more than 80% of athletic departments relied on university or state funds or student fees in some way. Now, obviously, we don't have to throw a charity event for these people because their salaries have went up in the last few years. What do you think? Urban Meyer has not coached a game, and his salary is $4 million a year with $1,200 in perks in the door.
Like the old song, it's nice work if you can get it.
That's right.
You can get it if you're a coach.
Yeah.
But Urban Meyer, in describing his own background of until he got out of football for a while, of being so tense, so he hardly paid attention to his family, and it went on and on. He's heading right back smack dab into the same thing, or even worse now.
Well, they want him to win. They spent $4 million and they want to win. They want a winner.
College football's big business.
It is.
No doubt about it.
Everything is big business, from politics to college football.
Yes, yes.
But you know, Ohio State is my alma mater. I went there 5 years, got a bachelor's degree from Ohio State, and I'm starting to get a little annoyed with the school in a lot of ways.
You get a lot of requests to donate money to the school?
Well, of course you do. Every year you get being an alumni, you get a form from Archie Griffin asking if you'll join the Alumni Association.
Two-time Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he is now. He's
Yeah.
a salesman.
Yeah.
Join the Alumni Association. But here's the problem with this. And I talked about this on radio a couple nights ago. Urban Meyer, what has he done to warrant this? And even if he did do something to warrant this, at Ohio State, aren't our gums still bleeding from what happened in the last year? I mean, Jim Tressel put this program in peril. I mean, I hate to say that, but it was what he did. I know he's very popular in Ohio. I know he's a well-liked guy. But what he did by withholding this information and not coming clean, Sports Illustrated broke the story and basically ruined a program at Ohio State for a year. The program was under major scrutiny from the NCAA. We had to give back all the wins from the previous year. We had to give back the bowl game status. Poor Luke Fickell was the sacrificial lamb who was thrown out there to pick up the pieces. We didn't beat Michigan, so people are pounding the pavement. That was Luke Fickell's demise in the end. He might have got rehired if he could have beaten Michigan. He couldn't. 5 players were suspended right off the bat. Terrell Pryor, probably the best player, leaves on Luke Fickell. The program is still under investigation. Gordon Gee, I'm sure, was under some investigation. Certainly Gene Smith is under investigation. And what do they turn around and do? They offer a salary that would make Woody Hayes blush in his current condition to this guy. So what is going on there?
Well, I think Fickell, though, I think he's still there. I remember
Yeah,
reading
still
an
there,
article
yes.
that
Meyer's
Meyer
keeping
is
him.
keeping him. Yeah, he
Today. But I tell you what, get to when they actually start practicing, a man who's been head coach and the players like, and a guy who's coming in to turn the program around. I think there could be a little conflict there.
Well, that's true, but I don't know what to say about that. But it's amazing.
The only thing you
all
can
these
say
salaries.
is that football makes the college
It does. I mean, it brings
millions
in the
upon
money.
millions of dollars,
Right, and that's what
and
it does.
it supports all the other athletics at Ohio
Yeah.
State.
Mm-hmm.
But it puts the emphasis only on sports,
Yes.
not on all the other professions
Mm-hmm.
that 50,000 kids go there to get.
That's true.
But is it the coach? So if the football program warrants that kind of money and they make that kind of money, good for them, spend it however you want. But is it the coach that makes the football team?
He's responsible.
Yes.
But is he? See, because I'm not so sure. The coach lays out a game plan, but if you don't have the players and you don't have the recruitment, what can you do?
Well, that's right. The coach doesn't get out there and throw passes and tackle people. But you would think he does, because when they lose, it's his fault.
It is, right. And it is, I'll tell you, the pressure he's under
Oh,
has
listen.
got to be unbelievable.
Like I say, more pressure than he's ever been under
Right.
when he was at Miami or anywhere.
Right.
This is going to be it, and he's not going to take it very well in the long run.
Well, okay, Urban Meyer obviously has a very good record from where he comes, and he does. I think he sold himself as an Ohio boy, which he is to some degree.
Coshocton.
Yeah.
Or, was it Coshocton or where?
Oh, somewhere in the state.
Chillicothe. Yeah,
They-
yeah.
I get those two mixed up
Me too,
sometimes,
yeah.
too.
But I mean, when he went in and obviously had this contract negotiation with whoever it was at that school, I mean, don't you think he pretty well held them up here? I mean, I think he pretty much wrote his own check and said, you had the best football program in the country. People came here because of the football program. You don't have that anymore. You need me. This contract is outrageous. I mean, it's not, by any stretch of the imagination, normal.
It is. It seems a little bit bloated,
But
I would say.
true blue Ohio State football fans
Don't care.
will go for anything.
That's
They don't
right.
care.
That's fine with
Yeah,
them.
that's fine with them.
If it takes $10 million to have a
Yeah.
winning team, let's have it.
Yes.
Yeah, but did people stop? I mean, I don't know what they paid Luke Fickell. I don't think it was astronomical. Did people stop coming to the games this year? Did they stop making those revenues?
I didn't hear a count on attendance, but I'm sure it was up there.
Of course it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
People
why?
would attend Ohio State football no matter what.
Right, there you go. So why would you pay $4 million for a coach? Pride? Are we talking about pride now?
I don't know, maybe that's what he asked for, and he would, he felt that's what he needed.
You know, Michigan, they must look at Ohio State and kind of laugh, because it's has been us putting them down over the years, telling bad jokes about Michigan players and the whole situation, and yet look where we're at. I think sometimes it gets a little ridiculous, this war between Michigan and Ohio.
Well,
It's tradition.
Well,
It's tradition.
tell that to John Cooper. That's pretty well why he was let go. He never took that game seriously as he was allegedly supposed to.
Yeah, you have to beat Michigan. You have to beat Michigan.
Okay, but now here's my question, and I said this on the radio this past week too. This guy is signed through 2018 at $4 million a year with all these perks. Say he goes in this year and loses to Michigan.
Yes, I wonder what happens.
He gets paid for another 7 years.
So in other words, that contract is solid, regardless of what his win-loss is. That's solid contract?
Well, if they released all this perk information, I'm sure if that was in there that he had to win so many games.
I'll bet there is some kind of a caveat.
I would think
I would
so,
think.
yes.
You would think, but why would you? Do they have this kind of money to be throwing around? Because maybe if they do, they should lower tuition.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
You know, but instead they raise tuition.
They raise
That's right.
it every year. It's raised.
Well, this, by the way, I'm looking at it now. It says he can earn 6-digit bonuses for winning games and going to bowl games. So he gets rich if he wins. If he doesn't, he just stays at $4 million. That poverty-ridden rate. So, I mean, what? I don't understand the longevity of that contract. I don't understand the money in that contract. I think they should have taken a few years. Most analysts on all college football programs have said, Urban Meyer, the team he's going to coach, he did not recruit. He will not recruit. It's going to take them 2 or 3 years to recover the loss of Terrell Pryor and the 5 players and the seniors and the NCAA. That's another thing. They signed this guy, and the NCAA has not even levied their final sanctions on the school yet. What sanctions are going to be there? It's very bizarre. Let's go over to the airports, which also have a lot of bizarre things going on. Security personnel at JFK Airport on November the 29th subjected an 85-year-old grandmother to what she claims was a humiliating strip search. The woman, Lenore Zimmerman of Long Beach, New York, told the New York Daily News, "I walk with a walker. I really look like a terrorist. I'm tiny. I weigh 110 pounds, 107 without clothes." Zimmerman was headed to Fort Lauderdale, where she spends her winters. When she arrived at the security checkpoint, she asked to forego the full body scan in favor of a pat-down, fearing the advanced imaging technology might interfere with her defibrillator. The agents were only too happy to oblige. Indeed, they gave Zimmerman a pat-down she'd never forget. This escalated. They escorted the 4'11" woman to a private room and proceeded to remove her clothes. In the course of the pat-down, Zimmerman's metal walker fell against her leg, opening a gash from which blood trickled. She says, "My sock was soaked with blood. I was bleeding like a pig." She maintains the TSA agents were unmoved, focusing instead on the business at hand, removing her pants. Eventually, a medic was summoned to treat the woman's injuries, but by this point, she had missed her 1 p.m. flight. TSA spokeswoman Lisa Faberstein insists the proper procedures were followed. She knows this because she reviewed the closed-circuit TV footage of the strip search. Zimmerman now says she is contemplating suing the TSA, but the agency is sticking to its story that Zimmerman exaggerated. TSA contacted the passenger to apologize that she feels she had an unpleasant screening experience. However, TSA does not include strip searches in its protocols, and a strip search did not occur in this case. So, what do you make of that?
I think it's pathetic.
Happy holidays.
Now I went to New York recently, well, this past October, and no problem at all. I had absolutely no problem at all.
Well,
I was not strip searched.
Well, I think this woman got in trouble when she said, "I don't want to go through the metal detector." But
there was a reason for that.
Yeah.
I mean, she had some kind of a medical apparatus on.
Right, but I'm not agreeing with this. I think it was terrible what they did, but I'm saying I think these people working at the airports, when somebody gives them any kind of suspicion, and to them, oh Lord, this 85-year-old woman.
How could that person be
But how many
a
other
terrorist?
people have defibrillators or whatever, or pacemakers? There must be hundreds of them every day.
Do you think she lied?
No, I wouldn't think so. But at her age and everything,
that's pathetic, I think.
And you say there was a closed
She had a
circuit,
walker.
Yeah.
She had a
TV
walker.
or a film of it. That's interesting.
But TSA won't show
They
that.
actually
Won't
film
show it.
that?
Oh yeah, but
Well, they shouldn't show it.
Well, not to public
Yeah.
people, but I mean to a court
You know how
or
those things
something.
get around, though.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't understand. If an 85-year-old woman doesn't want to be patted down or put under the scanner, why would you even suspect if you've gone through her luggage? What could she do?
I don't understand that. I really don't. Now, I think, we have to have all of this protection. We really do. And it doesn't bother me, but I've never had that kind of a problem. I think it would be humiliating.
Well, on this note, how much time do we have left in this program? This is good. We can slide over on this. Jesse Ventura, who we talked about,
Yeah.
who was suing the airlines because he has a metal hip from his sports days, Navy SEAL, wrestler, all those type of things, has a metal hip in there. He said they touched him very inappropriately. Now, once again, the man's a governor. Everybody knows who he is. Not to mention he's in his 60s. Not to mention what damage could he do to you. And they felt the need to pat him down. Now, the ipso facto end of that story was he went to sue the government, and the court told him he couldn't even sue for that. Apparently, you can't sue in this country anymore for the Bill of Rights. You can't do that. So he says he will never salute the flag. He will never pledge the allegiance.
Well, I don't understand that. I mean, that's a bit much.
Well, now listen.
It was just this one person, probably. It's not everybody. All of the TSA people aren't like that.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is if you're a Navy SEAL, we always talk about how much we revere the armed forces.
But the TSA person probably had no idea who he
wouldn't
was.
have any idea.
No,
Unless he
person.
recognized
Oh, now wait a
his face.
second. Jesse Ventura is not a minimally known person.
I know, but that particular person might not have known him.
Okay, if I go into an airport and I have a metal hip, now they're not going to know who I am. Now, is it okay to touch me inappropriately?
Not inappropriately, no.
Well, what are they?
Except some of these terrorists have really weird operation, as
Yes,
far
of
as
course
trying
they
to
do.
get some kind of an explosive. And, they're
So-
very, very, what's the word I'm searching for? They have a lot of ways of doing things.
So are we? So we're into profiling. Profiling's
Well, I'll tell you,
okay.
It's because of the possibility that somebody could do great damage on an airplane.
Well, let me just say this, because this bugs me to a great deal, not just on airplanes, everywhere in this country. We went, and let me say this with 3 minutes left, we went to war in this country out of fear in Iraq. They scared everybody half to death, telling them something
Yes.
that wasn't true.
Right.
We cannot operate at an airport by fear. Okay, yeah, a guy did a bomb in his shoes, a guy did a bomb in his underwear, they've
Right.
done all this. So now we're going to pull down everybody's underwear to make sure they don't have a bomb in there. At some point, you got to say, this is America, this is what we do, you take your chances. Guess what? When you go on the highway, you don't know if a guy over there has had a beer and is driving drunk. You take your chances. You can't operate in fear, and I think profiling is a horrible thing to do, because now you're stopping
Well, I think profiling is horrible. I don't agree with it at all. Absolutely.
Well, so why?
But I don't understand how you could profile an 85-year-old woman. To me, that didn't even make sense. That was totally wrong.
Well, why are you profiling a television political star?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand that.
They were probably employees doing their job.
Right.
And that's
the
about
whole
all
thing.
you can say.
But
Yes.
what's their job?
Well, they've
Well, it's
obviously...
spelled out to them what they've got to do, and
Yes.
they do it.
And there's no deviation, probably. They're told that.
Okay, I'm not necessarily sure that the employee should be fired. I think the rule has got to be changed, and the fact that you can't even sue for that. I mean, we say inappropriate is not okay. Well, you can't even bring it to trial to say if it's inappropriate or not.
It was a bad incident. There's no doubt about it. But I'm sure that it's not rampant. I'm sure it's just a few situations like this that are happening.
I hope so, but it's happened to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of celebrities have come forward, and so have common people like Mrs. Zimmerman, like the woman who, do you remember the diaper story we did on here? The woman had a wet diaper and they had to go pull that off of her.
Yeah.
And what about Joan Rivers getting caught in a foreign country, and because her her thing didn't match because it was her stage name.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let her back in the country. Jesse Ventura is profiled at an airport. I mean, when do we just stand up and say, goodness gracious, I mean, do you think they're going to do the same thing again? I mean, it's what we do. It's what we did with torture. You know, we tortured people, but then we don't know if it's credible. Well, so what? If you pull the guy over and you find that they have a box cutter in their pocket, what does that mean? Or you have a coup baton, or you have a pocket knife.
Now, they were very nice to me.
Well, apparently,
and
though.
that is a weapon.
Well, see, what they should have done, I guess, by these standards, is written your name down and profiled you every time you got on a plane because you're suspicious to people. I mean, isn't that...
Well, I obviously didn't look suspicious, and they took the coup baton from me, and I was stupid because I didn't think about it.
Well, I say if it's a body part, though, you gotta... I mean, what do you think, Charlie? Wrap it up on this.
I say, take the Greyhound, leaving the driving to us.
And it'll take you 8 to 12 weeks to get to California.
All right, it's a relaxing trip.
No more day trips. Hey, and your bus driver will eat for free wherever you go.
I
as
just wish
talked
we
about
had a
earlier.
rapid rail system. That's what I would love.
Oh, I
would
would too, yeah.
Well,
I love that.
Before we get out here, why don't they profile on the trains like that?
I don't know. Maybe they do.
I don't think they
I've
do.
never been on.
I don't think they profile like that on a train.
You need to do some research on that.
If anybody knows if they profile on a train, go to the Exchange Marion. See you next